Hello, I am Minister Faith from Focus Ministry, Faithfully Observing Christ Until Sanctified. I am continuing to read my book, His Story Through Me, The Aftermath, Surviving Love, Loss, and a Narcissistic Betrayal. I'm going to pick up where I left off before. If this is your first time viewing my video, you will probably want to go back and see the ones that you didn't see because this whole platform is anchored on me reading my entire first book of my memoir. So I will start reading now. Precious Father, have your way. At the funeral home, there was a moment in the funeral home, maybe while choosing the casket or nodding through paperwork, when I felt my chest collapse inward. The end is here, I thought. It's over. There's no more hope. I had prayed every prayer I knew, spoken in tongues, whispered in silence, shouted in tears. I had called on every scripture, every miracle story, every testimony I had ever preached or held on to. I begged heaven until my voice gave out. But still, bleed after bleed, James grew weaker. And every time the doctors rushed in, I stood still, clinging to faith like a woman gripping the edge of a cliff. I believed. I still believe. Even now in this moment where the air feels heavy and the room too bright, I still believe God is able. But I had only one job, didn't I? To cover James in prayer, to hold up his healing, to intercede like only a wife could. And he still died. A voice inside whispered, "You failed him." Another voice, softer and more sacred, said, "No, you didn't." I wasn't there, not fully. My hands folded in my lap, my back is straight, but my spirit floating somewhere between denial and disbelief. I caught myself zoning out, and a memory flashed, the workshop. I could almost hear her voice. When it's too much, come back to the moment. Breathe. Speak out loud what you're doing. So I whispered soundly to myself, "You are here. You are signing these papers. James is gone, but God is still here." And then another thought. You don't have to prove anything, not to these people, not to yourself. You don't have to prove how much you love James Bryant. Your love lived in the prayers, in the bedside visuals, in the tears you never let the kids see. You've already proven it with your life. And even now, despite feeling broken, my love is still speaking. The funeral home is a business. The numbers started stacking up before I could even process what they meant. The funeral director spoke gently, but there was no disguising the math of it all. There was a daily charge to house the body. A specific temperature had to be maintained, the director said, as if James were now something fragile to be preserved. There was a fee for a barber to trim his beard and shape his hair. Even his nails, a charge for that too. My throat tightened. I blinked hard, pushing down a memory that surfaced without warning. Rehab. The metal clippers are in my hand. James flinches just a little, accusing me with a soft grunt and a teasing glare. "You nicked me, honey." I laughed. "No, I hadn't." But the next time I offered to trim James' nails, he shook his head. "Nope," like a child refusing medicine. "Nope." "Get your nail," he said. And so she became the official nail cutter, the one James let near him with the clippers. I watched him from the corner of the room sometime, him fussing, her fussing back, all of it so. And now, someone else would do it for a fee, to prepare him to be seen, to make him presentable. There was a charge to dress him too, as if helping James into his suit, his final suit, was a service they could quantify. The director continued, his voice patient and professional. "How many cars will you need for the funeral's procession? Do you plan to have a viewing? Will you be holding the service here at the funeral home or at the church? It was like arranging a farewell party with no RSVP from the guests of honor. I answered with a steady voice, but inside my spirit was buckling under the weight. I continued to pray silently even then. Lord, help me not fall apart in front of these strangers. Just hold me upright, give me breath for this moment, and I will trust you for the next. Faith didn't mean I didn't feel it. It meant I showed up anyway, even for this. Someone will need to conduct the service for you, the funeral director added gently. There's a fee for that as well. Another line item, another decision, another wave of disbelief was crashing silently inside of me. Then came the question that nearly unmoored me. Where will Mr. Key's finally resting place be? Final? The word echoed louder than anything else he said. My mind raced. I pictured my mother's grave, my brother's, the quiet corner of Evergreen. Evergreen, I said softly. It felt familiar, safe even. He shook his head with a polite regret. They're closed on Saturday, but there's one not far from your home. Might be good to stop by, get a sense of cost. It was practical advice, logical, but I wasn't functioning on logic. I was walking through fog, making death arrangement for the man who had been my other half for more than 3 decades. While getting into the car, I felt my breath catching my chest. My sister observed me in silence for a while before I turned to her. How did I get here? I whispered. How am I the one making these decisions by myself when every choice I've made for the last 30 years I've made with James? Tears threatened, but I bit them back. He needs to help me. We pulled up near the cemetery close to my neighborhood, and Vanessa glanced at me. Do you want to go in? I paused. My heart didn't say yes, but it didn't say no either. Why not, I murmured. We drove in, and to my surprise, the grounds were immaculate, clean. Cut grass lined the path, and the mausoleum stood tall and elegant in the afternoon light. Sunlight caught the chandeliers inside, flickering through the high windows like stars frozen in crystals. I stared at the building, hushed by its strange beauty. I don't even remember, I said, almost to myself. Did James want to be buried, cremated, or placed in one of these drawers? I hated not knowing. We walked into a small white building off to the side, a modest house with a porch and a long front counter. Inside, the air smelled like polished wood and quiet grief. Several desks filled the office behind the counter, with papers stacked neatly and phones quiet. A woman appeared as soon as the door opened, her expression soft but unreadable. One of those practical kindness reserved for people living inside fresh loss. I stood there, my body moving, my mouth forming words, but my spirit lagging somewhere behind me. Even now, I prayed silently. Lord, help me carry this. Help me not crumble in this place. I know you're near, but it's so hard to feel you through the fog. She greeted us gently. Can I help you with something today? I opened my mouth, but the words felt like gravel. My husband died, I said. Just saying it cracked something inside me again. The grief surged with fresh force, the kind that made me want to bolt out the door and vanish. Maybe wake up from this nightmare and find James beside me, grinning like nothing this ever happened. Do you have a file with us? She asked. I blinked. A memory surfaced. Vague but insistent. Wait, I think I was paying someone. I glanced at Vanessa, her eyes already scanning my face, steady and grounding. What's his name? The woman said. James Keys. She led us to a quiet room with nothing but a table and a few chairs. A handful of faded pictures lined the wall, families standing by gravestones, mausoleums framed by bright skies, portraits of peace wrapped in mourning. She returned holding a folder. Her fingers flipped through the papers until she paused. There, in bold ink, across a yellowing paper, was James' signature. His unmistakable handwriting. his name signed in full. I leaned in, breath catching. Can, can I touch it? My fingers trembled as they brushed the paper, as if touching his name might bring me closer to him. It felt like James had reached across eternity and placed something steady in my hands. We purchased this? I asked in disbelief. She nodded. Yes. You both selected a mausoleum spot back in 1995. I thought, right before Janique was even born? I shook my head softly. How did we arrive at such a decision at that time? What compelled us to walk into this place all those years ago and plan where we'd rest? I've forgotten every detail. James hadn't. Tears welled in my eyes. He helped me, I thought. Even now, I would have never chosen this place for him. I would have sent him to rest beside my mother and brother. But James had already decided, and somehow we had chosen it together. A flicker of peace pierced the heaviness inside of me. The director's voice pulled me back. That original mausoleum is full now, except for one final space. She glanced down, then looked up gently. But there's another location just across the street. She led us over to the other building where sunlight caused the glass and gleam off the polished stone. It was serene, almost too beautiful for a place built for the inn. The space James and I had picked was on the top tier, the space closest to heaven. And I remember, God help me, I remember James and I talking about this, about being closer to heaven on the upper level, about the discount, about laughing through things that weren't anything but funny. The memory helped me steady, gave me breath. I looked out across the manicured lawn and thought of my daughters. I didn't know if any of the 5 would become graveyard people. Vanessa was. Every year she made the trip to visit our mother's grave on her birthday and the anniversary of her passing. She'd sit, talk to her like she was still listening, filling her in on everything she missed. I, on the other hand, had been maybe 4 or 5 times in 6 years. I wasn't sure what it was that made some people drawn to cemeteries and other quietly avoiding them. But at that moment, I thought of my girls, and I made a decision. I would get the remaining spot for James and I, so that one day they wouldn't have to guess or wonder what to do. More importantly, I wanted James to rest exactly where he had chosen, because he'd made that decision with me, and somehow even now, he helped me make mine. We hadn't finished paying for the plot. Years ago, when James and I had made what we thought was a wise and sensible decision, the cemetery was under different ownership. Back in 1995, the cost was over $4,000. As of 2018, the amount had exceeded $16,000. The numbers made my head swim. I thought of my grandmother Maybelle, a woman who, at 100 years, 7 months, and 6 days, left this world with everything prepared. Burial plot, casket, clothes, every detail handled. I could still hear her voice steady and matter-of-factly saying, when the time comes, I don't want y'all stressing. Why aren't more of us like that? Like her? Maybe it's fear or denial, or the aching belief that we still have time. We plan for weddings, vacation, and baby showers, but when it comes to dying, our own or our loved ones, we hesitate. We treat death like a stranger instead of a certainty that it is. And yet, there I was, signing papers and arranging payments for a mausoleum space. I paid James' portion up front so he'd have a place to rest on the day of his funeral. Then they let me put my portion on a payment plan. The woman behind the desk glanced up at me and said, if you had come when he was still living, you would have saved $2,000. There it was again, this strange reward system for wisdom and preparation, a discount for planning death ahead of time, as if there's ever a convenient moment to say goodbye. Precious Father, I thank you. I thank you for those who are listening and right at this moment they are making decisions for a loved one, that they are entering the cycle of grief. God, it's my prayer that they make it through. It's my prayer that they don't get stuck. It's my prayer, oh God, that you will comfort them in this moment, in this season. I pray, oh God, that you would place people around them that won't forget them, that will tap in every now and then and check on them. Oh God, it just seems that after 2 weeks, people go back to their lives and you're left alone with your thoughts, with your grief. I pray for everybody who is grieving right now, dear God. I pray, oh God, that you will teach, because grief can teach, that you would teach them the lessons that they need to learn, that you will allow them to go through the grief, oh God. I know it's been said that you go through grief and grief goes through you. I pray, oh God, that you will give everybody who is in a season of grieving the strength to make it through. Thank you, dear God, for who you are and who we are in you. I pray, oh God, if there's someone under the sound of my voice who do not know you in the pardon of their sin, I pray, dear God, that you will draw them, oh God, and that they will give their life to you. It is the best decision I have ever made. I thank you for your love and your caring and who you are in my life. In Jesus' name I pray. To God be the glory. I dare you to trust God.